boomed. I don't know what happened there. Hey everyone, sorry about that. My camera spun on its own. Welcome back to JB's Budget Collecting and another episode of the Indie Show. We're talking Black Science once again. I got my man Ian Really Simeon with me. What is going on, sir?
Smells good.
And our man Greg, the bearded comic bro. What is going on?
Man, not much. Looking forward to talk a little Black Science with you both.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. We are talking volume 6 tonight. So we are officially 2/3 of the way through this thing. And I'll be curious. I'll say my thought for after you guys go, but I'm curious what you thought of this particular volume, Unruly. What did you think of this volume?
I'm willing to bet that Greg really liked this arc. Non-stop action. And just as an aside, all right, you know how this has been wham, bam, 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 bam. Yeah. In my opinion, this arc, that is what the entire series of Fear Agent is like.
I know it is in the wish list when I make another purchase from Insectrix. It's in there. What about you, Greg? What do you think of volume 6?
Oh, I'm so predictable. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was fast paced. It was moving along with what I wanted. It gave me parts of the story that I needed to know, that I wanted to know, I guess I should say. And I didn't hate Grant this volume, so there you go. So kudos to that. He wasn't in it a lot, but still.
Yeah.
No, but I like where it's going. And now it's going to give us like 3, kind of know, okay, we got 3 volumes to kind of wrap this up. Seems like we've tackled some stuff that needed to get tackled to kind of figure out how we're going to close this up.
Yeah. So your point is interesting because it was part of what I like when I got done with this. I almost felt like this was like volume 6 of 7, not volume 6 of 9.
Yeah.
Because pretty much all of our antagonists that we've met along the way have showed up, and like all the crap appears to be hitting the fan at the moment. So and it felt like it had set up everything that this could be done in another volume. So the fact that there's 3 more, I find really intriguing and interesting, and I'm super excited to see where it goes. But yeah,
I feel like there's going to be parts where I forget things happen.
Yeah.
And so there's probably storylines that I'm forgetting about that I don't know, wrapped up. Like certain characters pop up and I'm like, I forgot how that character, how I thought they, died or got injured.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure there are things I'm forgetting. So
I'm sure there are. So let's dig into this. We pick up where we left off, sort of with poor Pia having to pretend that everything is okay as her mom still shacked up with a-hole Kadir and stuck living a lie. So what do we think of where we pick up here and just the interactions we see between Pia, Kadir, and Sarah, and where things kind of stand on the family front here at the beginning? What'd you think here, Greg?
I like this interaction. I like that Pia is sticking with her guns of, not liking Kadir. And it felt real from the idea of, even if Kadir wasn't a complete a-hole, right? And he was just still a stepfather in this situation. I feel like it takes these kids a while to even was where I'm looking for, be comfortable with the idea that someone might be replacing their father. And the interaction with Kadir and the mom I've been a little tough on, when they're at the sink, and how she's talking about, child of divorce, wanting to see their parents back. And she'll give it time, but you can't rush it into it. And she almost says something of here it goes. Your problem is you imagine that you matter. That you have any significance to anything outside of yourself. And I was just like, it's kind of the truth. It's the reality check in that moment.
Well, and he does it. Like Kadir, this is why there's a couple moments in this volume that, like, for me, because you guys are giving me a hard time because I was like ripping him the last volume because of the way he handled the whole thing with Grant. And I'm like, this whole thing, like, he blames everyone for everything and takes, like, that he's the center of the universe and takes no blame for himself on any of this.
No, and he doesn't in this volume either. Like,
and he's like, if he'd never gone to Grant, she'd be my daughter. What did I do to deserve this reality? I mean, he is such a petulant little child. And it's just, yeah. Unruly, what do you think of this opening sequence?
Yeah, and that line that her checking him like that stood out to me too. But then 3 panels later, she'll learn to love you just as much as I do. Where's woman coming from, man? How does she?
He's broken. I mean, I think we're gonna see. We saw that a little bit in like when she got drunk and she said Grant's name, called him Grant, and we see this a little bit later when Grant tries to call her. Like, this is a woman who has been broken by the things that have happened, and she's deluded herself into that Kadir's actually good for her. And so she's gonna make it work because she doesn't have anything else right now, or she doesn't think she has anything else. So, I mean, that's where I'm coming from on this. Maybe I'm reading it differently than you guys, but
and you also, I will say in her defense too, she doesn't know all the stuff that Pia knows about Kadir. So for her, Kadir is someone that she's being blindsided a little bit by him, like, you know, the wool being pulled over her eyes, that Kadir's looks like he's showing up for her, right? That he's there to take care of her, something that Grant hasn't done. And so I feel like when she's feeling like Grant has been a missing void in her life for so long that now someone's stepping in, she doesn't know what Pia knows. So there's a little bit of disconnect of, like, she just knows that Kadir is there for her right now, which is something Grant has not been there for a long time. Yeah. And so Pia's been threatened to not tell what, you know, the truth of kind of what's been happening when they were jumping and things like that. So I will not fault her for as much of that, of like being in love with Kadir, because she doesn't know any better. And she is, like JP said, is broken.
So from this, though, Pia gets an alert that somebody has returned to our plane of reality. But before she gets to go, we get to see how Mr. Block is using his ability to access the dimensions, and seems to be gathering other versions of himself. What do you think of Block's little den of debauchery, his Hellfire Club, if you would? Like, you know, what did you think of all this? Because this is really, in a lot of ways, the first time we've actually really dealt with Block in any significant manner is here. Like, he's been a presence, but we really haven't dealt with him very much until this point. So what do you think of the little reveal of just how Block is, what his goals are and what he's really after here?
So let's call this Brock Prime, right?
Yeah.
I love Brock Prime. I love completely amoral characters. Because, damn it, I was cursed with a conscience, you know? But it's the council of blocks.
Yeah, blocks, yeah.
And he's just basically, this is basically the evil villain monologuing for 4 or 5 pages. It's great stuff.
What about you, Greg? What do you think of Block?
Well, I like that we're seeing, you know, the conniving person he is. And I think the difference between where I don't hate him. Like, I mean, he's not bad. He's a bad guy. Like, I'm not saying he's not, but like, where like what Unruly said is, he knows he is. Like, he doesn't think he's a hero in this book. Like, Kadir still thinks like he's a good dude. Grant still thinks he's a good dude. Like,
Kadir and Grant delude themselves.
Right.
Block just embraces what he is.
Block knows who he is. And, you know, kudos to that. Like, listen, if you're going to be a D-bag, at least know that you are and own it. Like,
Oh yeah.
I have more respect for you in that manner than if you're like, oh, the world is out to get me. I'm just perfect. And you're doing these horrible things, but you think you're doing nothing wrong. Then I'm like, nah, that's scummy. At least not listen, Walk's still trash, but at least he knows what he is and he's owning it, embracing it.
He he's living it. He is definitely embracing this side of himself for sure. All right. So meanwhile, Pia goes all the way to Hong Kong looking for whoever has re-entered the dimension, and ends up in the subway tunnels below the city. And well, it's one of their people, but not the one she was looking for. So, Greg, did you remember that Sandra existed this time?
Kind of not still. She's been a forgettable character.
She really hasn't been a character other than she's conduit for
she's a plot device for the story. Like, I feel like that's my only knock really right now on like this would have had more impact to me if it was some character that we got to spend a little bit more time with.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she is so forgettable. Like when she shows up, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about her. But again, like that part is fine. And what it sets up to is great. So I like where it's going.
Yeah. What about you, Unruly?
The only reason I remember is because she's possessed by these gas bags.
I mean, she really got no time to be a real character before this happened. Before she became a conduit for these gas people or whatever you want, these parasites. So Pia, of course, gives herself away. The gas people are chasing her. What do you think of this whole sequence of her running through Hong Kong trying to avoid these things? This is all like the entire half to 2/3 of this next issue of issue 27 is her just running. What do you think of this whole sequence here of her, what she discovers and how they lay out her trip through Hong Kong?
I was just waiting for the Deus Ex Machina to save her, and of course it did.
Yeah. So I felt like you talked at the beginning and really about how fast-paced this was, and this was very fast-paced. I did feel like this drug a little longer than it needed to in terms of her being chased. Like, I don't think, because we get, like, they start going after her basically the last page of 26, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages before help arrives, like, and she's just running. What about you, Greg? What did you think of this whole sequence?
I agree with you. This part felt like it could have been cut down a little bit. I also got really hung up on like the phone for whatever reason. Like after like the little demon babies are breathing out fire, like it's like it has like that she called somebody, and there were no panels before that setting it up like that she was on the phone, or unless I missed it.
Well, I thought it was someone was calling her, but maybe I misread that.
I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe it was. But like, I don't know. I just got, again, it's a minor point but I just got so hung up on like, it was a plot device that she like, so she could drop her phone, but like, she never had it out. Like she didn't call and like, didn't even answer. So like, it just kind of showed up. So that way, then it would get caught.
I think you're right. Like you're right. I didn't even really register that it wasn't really set up that why there was a phone call all of a sudden.
Right. Like, and again, it's little things like that. Like, and again, I'm being nitpicky, but like where it feels like maybe it's because the character, I forget what her name is so secondary in my mind that like underdeveloped.
Yeah.
That like the stuff around her wasn't developed either. Like they wanted a way that it was that she would find Pia's phone and, rather than just have like Pia take it out to take a picture or to make a call and be like, hey, I'm in trouble. it just kind of felt like it was just there and there wasn't much to do with it. And again, I'm nitpicking on a great book, but I just got hung up on there. So I just figured I'd share it and let you guys get hung up on there with me.
So I did not really register that. So yeah, it did not hang me up. I think the last part of this issue, I think I assume everybody was excited for, as I was, as we get the reveal of who her rescuers are. The little alien dude they found is all grown up. Meanwhile, Nate and Sean are back. What did you guys think of the reveal of the superheroes here, as we superhero Nate and Sean in a, I don't know if it's like, I assume it's because he has to be in a wheelchair at this point, like on some sort of bike.
Yeah, like he's like Professor Xavier.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the return of these characters, Unruly?
I was expecting Nate. I wasn't expecting Nate the superhero.
Well, sort of. Like, they did kind of give it away on the cover just a little bit.
They did on volume 6.
Yeah.
Well, damn it, that's where my Omni doesn't help matters, you know?
Yeah. Oh, well, this is on the cover of my hardcover. He's on there. So,
but
yes.
It took me a minute to figure out who Crowlar was.
Right. Because we hadn't really seen, he'd just been a little baby when we had last seen him.
So God only knows how much time. Well, we know Nate's been through at least 7 or 8 years. I guess Crowlar's species grows up quick.
Well, I think it's still just the 3 or 4 or whatever that Pia's was gone. So, because it's only been about less than a year longer. Pia hasn't been home for a year.
Yeah.
So it should be only about 4. But then again, he could be in a different time, moving slightly faster. You were correct. But my guess is he's probably like 17, whereas he was like 12, 13 before, kind of thing. And Pia is like in her 20s now.
But he's a junior member of the Legion of Ethical Champions.
What did you think of the League of Ethical Champions? Go on, Greg.
It's so good. I mean, listen. When Sean pulls, when he tells the joke, you hear about the guy who invented the lifesaver. They say he made a mint. Like, I was just like, yes. Yeah. I wish I didn't see that before. Like, I wish I ended the panel with like the joke, so that way the page returned. Like, I saw it before I read the joke, so it didn't land as powerfully for me. But man, it was good to see him because he's been my favorite character through and through.
Yeah.
And it's
you wish the bottom third of this had been on the previous page. Yeah.
But it's good to see Nate back, and it's good to see Nate using his special because his dad took him to karate lessons or stuff, and so that he can be a little tough guy, and so I like how it's building out that because we were left with Nate gone for so long, he's been out of the story of the equation, that it kind of moved it. I am afraid a little bit that we're going to get some backstory now on Nate in the next volume that I don't really need to move the story forward.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. But I liked where it is, and I liked the team.
I really enjoyed the fact that nobody had really changed during the 3 years or the 3 to 4 or 5 years or whatever they've been separated or that we've been without Nate. But I really appreciate that about Nate, because in many ways, Nate is older and wiser, but he's still that kid that we met the first time that has been on this journey, the wide-eyed, optimistic, the fact that he didn't get beat down through everything that's happened at this point. I kind of thought that might be what we met when we met Nate. Kind of like how, the anger Pia had toward Grant, rightfully so, and just where she was at when they found her, and then versus Nate still being very much just Nate. And I appreciate that. And I love how we get that name, but then Pia just names them the Anarchist League of Scientists, which we don't get anymore. But I just love that just comes through at some point.
That's a club I want to be a member of.
As someone who's technically got scientist in his job title, I'm up for that. So I'm up for that.
What kills me is the ending. All right, so we find out in the beginning of the next volume, they sort of mention the immensity of how many different dimensions there are.
Yeah.
Which is still just a slice of infinity, right?
Right.
But they just are, it's too late for this world, let's boogie. Man, how could you get used to that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, but that's really what the whole next issue is about, is the fact that they're trying to find a solution where they don't have to run every time this happens. Like, and actually like can stop these ghost beings or whatever, is really what this whole setup in this next issue is. So yeah, they have to run as Hong Kong gets taken over by the gas people, and we return to the base of the Legion of Ethical Champions here.
6 trillion dimensions away.
Yeah, is that what it does? Say 6 trillion.
It's so good.
It's so good. And yeah, we see these other heroes, and we get, of course, a little them returning. What did you think of the rest of the League of Ethical Champions here? As we see a different version of the Shaman, and we get to see the big hero here. So, am I wrong, or is that a version of Ward?
The superhero?
Yeah, Atomic Fury.
I did not pick that up.
I don't know that it is for sure. They do not say.
But I mean, he says call me Clint.
Yeah, go ahead.
He says call me Clint.
Oh, does he say Clint at some point? Did I miss that?
Yeah,
right.
He does. That's right.
Right at the panel, right where you said Soon Sean, where he said Soon Sean, above it, he says just call me Clint.
Oh, he does. You're right. Okay, that didn't register.
So I never think. No, I don't know. Is it Clint Ward? I don't know, but
yeah. So it's somebody we don't know. It's a version of somebody we don't know. Okay.
Right.
So what do we think of? Obviously, they're on a plan to try to stop the gas people, and there's another. Was it Super Genius? Sensational Genius 11. Has returned. So yeah, Brainiac 9. I mean, Sensational Genius 11 has returned from the multiverse with the solution they need. What do you think of this whole setup here? What we're getting? What do you think of the conversation between Nate and Pia? I guess we should do that before we get to Sensational Genius 11. What do you think of their conversation with each other? Greg, I'll let you go first this time.
I like it. I think it's a beautiful thing about the siblings. He's talking about, he's kind of bragging on himself there a little bit, and she's like, I'm proud of you and all this. And he's like, I'm proud of you too, though. Like, you saved the whole world from war. And, like, kind of like that he'd been keeping tabs a little bit. Like, I just, like, they have a special relationship. And yeah. I like to see that. You can tell that the way that we haven't talked a lot about the art, but the way that the one panel where Nate is drawn, like, he's looking at Pia when he talks about, the Supreme Shaman and stuff. You can just tell, like, there's a care in that panel of his face where he genuinely cares for his sister. And, the next moment they're hugging, and like, it's a special thing that I think, like, it grounds it in this, because there is something about siblings and their relationships. And I get it, not all of them are close and tight and things like that. But even if you didn't get to experience this with your sibling, so you probably have witnessed other siblings that have this, and you're like, how are they so close and so tight? So, like, I think it's cool to see that.
So as someone who has a older sister who's about the same difference as these two are,
Yeah.
And has a very good relationship with her. Yeah, it's an awesome moment for me. I love this moment. And I'll be honest, these two characters, I know you talked about Sean being your favorite character, and I totally get that. These two characters are the ones that have moved the book for me. That throughout the whole thing
they're the heart of the book.
They're the heart of the book, at least for me. Like they're the ones that I keep coming back for in a lot of ways. Like because I get your total even though I've defended him at times, I get your total frustration with Grant, and he's and Kadir and everybody else. These two, despite mistakes, have always been the ones that are actually trying to do the right things, and as opposed to all the adults around them in their life who are F ups. So yeah, for me, these two characters move this book and this series a lot more than anybody else.
They're the only two redeemable characters, likable characters, not redeemable, I would say likable characters for the most part in this book. Yeah. What's crazy is I'd be curious if I've seen this happen in other stories. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but they're so likable that they make unlikable characters somewhat likable because they're trying to do it for those characters, right? Grant is unlikable, but you at least kind of can understand a little bit because he is trying to do it for the characters that you do like and care about with Nate and Pia. So there is a little bit, Kadir is not that, but so there is a little bit of they're so likable that they can make you like unlikable people a little bit.
What about you, Unruly? What do you think of this sequence with the two of them?
Bah humbug. No, y'all are both, the points you made are spot on. They are they're the good. They're the yin, that makes this work. And is it Genius 11 or is it Genius Z? Or however you would pronounce XI.
XI?
When isn't Roman numeral 10? X is 10.
X is 10.
And then the next one is 1.
And I would be 1.
What I'm saying, I didn't automatically see it as Roman numerals. I saw it as Z, or however.
Z. Oh, okay. I get you. If you were saying the name, it was a name, a proper name.
Mm.
I took it as
11 makes
11 because I took this character as being a take on Brainiac 9, and Brainiac 5, or whatever the one is in the Legion of Superheroes kind of thing in the future.
Yeah, because this is obviously a Legion of Superheroes inspired thing.
Yes, that's why I went there. It wasn't because of, but I get what you're talking about. Yeah, there is a little bit of gray there in terms of how this character is.
Let us call Remender.
Greg, when is the interview? Let's go.
Listen, I'm holding off on that. I'm not even going to approach Rick Remender for 2 more years. Because I really do like Rick's work, and I want to get Fear Agent. I want to get through some of the other stuff. So I don't want to rush through it either.
Yeah.
Rick Remender is of all the people, there's a couple of people out there I'm I still need it. I want to interview. I'll be very happy if I get them. Rick Remender would be a big get because he just doesn't do a lot of interviews anymore, and because he doesn't have to. Let's be honest. So, and especially
out of all the really big name writers out there, it seems like he flies under the radar a little bit in terms of fanboy adulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he will be one I want to, but again, like I said, going through this at the pace we're going through Deadly Class, Fear Agent. There are some more still that I know I haven't even read that I'm I want to experience those.
There's there's a lot of good stuff. So, all right. So the second half of this issue, we get the reveal that it is not, what is it? Sensational Genius 11, but our favorite witch friend is back, Doxa, and she tricks Atomic Fury into a bargain he doesn't realize he's making to steal his strength, even though she supposedly has given them the way to defeat the gas people. What do you think of this whole sequence and battle and our old friend Doxter the Witch? Unruly.
Loved it. Was not expecting her at all. This was truly a surprise for me, and not especially not expecting her to be. Now, was there ever a Sensational Genius 11? Has she been pretending to be him the whole time?
She's
Or
had
did
the
she
line that
take
she
him
trapped
over?
him somewhere, but you don't know how long ago that was. But yes. Go ahead,
I
Jeff.
loved it, and I love how, man, this broad's all about bargains, man,
Yeah.
and promises, and she's twisted and can be evil, but she's got her own little code, and I can't wait to see what her true motivation is. She's gathering all these items of power or magic or etc. What the hell does she intend to do with all
Well,
of
yeah,
it?
like she takes all this stuff, but everything's a totem. It's not like she's like taking it technically into herself. It's a totem that she has to have and use, as we see with Grant's intelligence later, or in this. So, what about you, Greg? What did you think with Doxter showing up here? Did you see it coming?
No, I
Did
don't
you
know
like
if
it?
I don't know if I love her character as much. Maybe because I don't know her motivation without the all the collecting the totems and she's always just wheeling and dealing, like, so I don't know. Like, I will say when she got split in half and then like the fangs started to come out of both sides, it turns in like where it's just like a monster that eats. That was dope artwork. I was there for it. But I like some of the other villains that I'd rather spend more time with them than I would with her.
See, I actually think she's more interesting than a lot of the other ones to me, mainly because we don't yet know what her motivation is.
Right.
I think there's a little bit of like, for me, I'm okay with not knowing at this stage. And maybe even if it's just like she's all about the deal, the art of the deal, and using it to just get stronger and stronger and stronger as she goes. Like, I don't know. It's like, I enjoy her. And like this last panel, like, even though we're not going to get to where she's like, oh, rare to watch a world unmade. She's like, it's such an excellent position from which to bargain. It's just like that whole, like, I enjoyed the heck out of this sequence. So,
yeah, I think I like her more than the gas beings or the millipedes because she's an individual.
Yeah,
not a whole race or hive or whatever the hell they are.
Well, yeah, and the other two are very much we will spread and dominate the universe kind of thing. Well, once we will spread and dominate the universe, the others, we're going to kill everyone. And it's just like, she potentially has more depth. We just don't yet know for sure what the depth is.
Right.
And so what do you think of the result of this interaction, at least before we get to her wanting to make one last bargain, and Pia now having all Dad's intelligence, whatever she didn't already have, because she was already pretty smart. What do you think of this result that we don't get to see any outcome from in this volume, but what do you think of this, where this is going now? Go ahead, Greg.
I like that we're getting that Pia's going to be the hero, right? Get the knowledge somehow back to her dad, and I like that.
So wait! Before you go any further, you think she's going to give it back to him?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think this is just me, and this is spitballing for down the road. I think he never takes it back. Like, I think that's how Grant ultimately like becomes the person he wants to be. Is Pia has the knowledge, and he just becomes a guy.
Yeah, and it could be. I don't know. I don't. At least when Grant had the knowledge, like he was dumb smart. Now he's just dumb. So
but he used it poorly.
You're right.
So maybe she makes better choices,
and maybe she'll make better choices. No matter how it goes, I like that she has it. And I think there's going to be some pivotal moments in that interaction of, does she give it back to him? Does he want it back? is there that tension in there at all? Does he think he can handle it better? And she's like, no, you're an idiot. Like, so I like what it's going to, I don't even know if I know what I want to happen, but I am wanting that dynamic of there to be some tension. I don't know if I want it to be right away one way or the other.
Okay. Unruly, what about you? What do you think of this twist that Pia now has all the brain power in the universe, the knowledge of black science?
This whole issue was just nonstop for me. This seemed like a logical progression. What other choice did she have?
Yeah.
And we still haven't seen how it played out, so I don't know what I think. But what I do know is I love how they end the issue with the logo on the bottom.
Yeah.
Instead of on the first page, which is a traditional comic thing.
Yeah.
And it's another world fallen.
For sure. So we jump back from Pia and Nate to our Earth, and we see Kadir facing consequences for his actions. Shocking. And of course, yeah, he's having to deal with the press and what's happened in Hong Kong, and the reveal that, yes, they've been traveling. He hasn't actually invented crap, that they've just been stealing stuff from other dimensions. And of course, it's not his fault.
The man you want is Grant.
Yeah, it's never Kadir's fault. He was happy to take all the credit, but it was definitely not his fault. So, yeah, what do you think of this opening and Kadir potentially, oh my gosh, having to take responsibility for his actions?
Which he steadfastly refuses to do.
Oh, yeah.
But I love the press conference when they said, the company, you've been tampering with interdimensional travel, and the next reporter is, what does interdimensional mean?
Yeah.
Come on now. This is the 21st century.
Well, yeah, and I love you don't believe there's reporters that'd be like, huh, would ask that question? You haven't watched very many press conferences.
I do try to avoid that.
Well, I love the one. It's like, you expect us to believe you have no responsibility for the interdimensional parasites? It wasn't me specifically. Then, of course, he just said, it's Grant McKay. It's always Grant,
So good.
Greg, do you have anything to add to this whole press conference scene?
I just like it because like he keeps like spinning his wheels, and I like that's how he's doing it. He's a horrible person, but he's an interesting character because he's a horrible person because he thinks he's not a horrible person.
Oh yeah, he thinks he's the hero of his tale.
Dude is a hero in his own mind, and and we all know people like that, that think they are the best and that they do no wrong. And speaking of which, oh hey, Bubs is here. No,
I knew that's where you were going. I knew you were going there. Yeah, I think it's just a perfect reveal of who Kadir actually is. Like when he's faced with having to answer questions about what he did, it's like, yes, I took credit, but I was the head of the department. I had no idea how they were doing stuff, and it was like, it's like you never. Yeah. So then we jump to Grant, and still in the insane asylum. And the ghost people have come for him, so we're making a break for it. What do you think of this whole escape from Alcatraz sequence here? We get to Grant making his break. I don't know whose turn it is. Greg, what do you think?
I like it. You're getting him, to kind of figure this out. And he's starting to make decisions, right? Like, and choices of, I don't know how he's convincing the people to let him out. Like,
thank you.
that makes no sense. That you're in an insane asylum. You're convincing an insane asylum worker that they're trying to kill you and then get me out of this straitjacket. Like, there's gas beans trying to kill me and get me out of this. Like, I don't know. Like,
so yeah, there is definitely a step there, but I do think it's not as bad as what you're saying, because she's basically, this is somebody who's worked here that's heard him ranting about the gas beans and everything else, and has heard about what's happening in Hong Kong. So, like, the stuff that he has said appears to be coming true in the news. Like, so when he says it here, like, she's more inclined. Like, I could totally, like,
yeah, I guess she does say everything you're right about.
Like, it's not horrendous.
You are right. There is that, like, that they've been talking for a while, because there is that panel where she's like, everything you've said is right. We can see it now.
Yeah.
It's still, I was just like a little, but I like that we're moving this out. Like, let's get them out of here. And I find it fascinating, like, how, you know, the gas people are using the other people to, like, protect Grant still, because they want what Grant has.
Well, they still think he has,
right?
Like, he still has the knowledge they want. Yeah, they want his brain, just like everyone just wants Grant's brain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sorry, Pia has it at this point. Not that anybody but the witch knows that, but yeah. So meanwhile, brother, you know, this is all about the conveniences. That just happens to be the one lady that, like, somewhat believes him is at the door, and then of course his brother was coming to visit. You know, but we're getting a fun action sequence of them making a break for it as they're being chased by the ghost people, and we get the phone call to Sarah. So, what did you think of this? Even though it's really just barely a page plus of him trying to talk to Sarah, what did you think of that, Unruly? This camera just will not set the way it's supposed to.
I honestly, and this surprised me again, because he's had a great streak of luck here getting the hell out of the place. I honestly didn't expect her to hang up on him. I figured they were going to maybe, you know, not make some kind of connection and blah, blah, blah. But I honestly expected her to hear him out and him to be able to talk her into telling him where she was at. But yeah, it was a great chase scene. I can see the CGI for the sentient gas.
For sure. What about you? Yeah, the art in this sequence is, I think, fantastic. Of the vehicles and the chase and I think he does a great job here. And this little bike thing that one of the bad guys is on, and yeah, I think it's just really, really well done. What do you think of this whole sequence, Greg?
Yeah, I'm loving the art. I love the aspect that Sarah, you know, is still, like, processing stuff and is like, no, I don't want you to, because, like, she's so disconnected from the world, unlike the orderly who helped out Grant. Like, she doesn't know about the other stuff going on in the moment. So for her right now, it's like, whatever, you're just a lunatic liar. Like, I'm not, no, like, yeah, like,
well, she's been at this point, she can't believe it. She's in the situation that a lot of people get into, is she's so decided this is what the truth is.
Yep.
That if she believes him, everything that's happened, like, since Kadir returned, is all, like, turned on its head. And she's just not ready for that.
Yeah.
For sure. But of course, you know, because in this book, things always get better. We crash right at the end, but not because the gas people have got us, because, our good friends, the centipede lizard people.
But they look like ambulatory tapeworms to me.
Yeah, I mean, have arrived. Our death call. Rest now, weary sufferers. Liberation is upon you. You know. What did you think of? And this is where I felt like, okay, like this feels like a volume 6 of 7. It's like, oh, all the players are on the board at the moment. Like, everybody. We got the Death Cult, we got the Gas People, we got Doxta, we got, everyone's on the board at this point. What did you think of this arrival adding to the chaos, Greg?
I'm here for it. I think I like it a little bit more from the idea of, I feel like if it was 6 to 7, it'd feel rushed. This 6 of 8 maybe would be better, but 6 of 9, I'm like, there still is more to happen.
Oh yeah.
So I'm excited. We're getting some of these players in because I forget about people so often in this book. I am a little scared that like it is a 6 of 8 and we're going to get a volume of flashbacks that I don't care because Rick Remender does love the flashbacks sometimes. So, or the one-off stories like that we saw in Deadly Class that had that didn't move the story forward for me at all. But I like that we're bringing everyone in and we're making some room, which we'll talk about in issue 30. So.
All right. Well, let's unless you guys got anything else, let's move to issue 30 here. And what did you both think of the first page here of dialogue? I guess the first page is them
smooching.
Is them making out, but like with the Chandra gas person talking about like we get more development from what these gas beings are here than we've got, and it's only one page than we've gotten this entire time to this point.
Yeah.
Like, and actually hers is actually showing some conscience. At what price? What are the hosts? Like there's some conscience to these things.
It's easy to ruminate when you're standing on a giant pile of bones.
Yeah.
As far as she knows, they're winning.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, what have we done? I'm not buying it.
Well, I guess I felt like it was more like we haven't really gotten any motivation from them at all up until this point, other than we're going to spread, so I did think it was nice to get I liked that it was short, but it was nice to get at least a little glimpse into that. Right. They're not just, we will spread, we will spread, we will spread. You know what I mean? What did you think, Greg?
It gives you some motivation.
Yeah.
No, I agree with everything you all said right there. So,
but now that next page, classic line, it wasn't until I fucked up the entire world that I realized how to fix my own.
Of course, Grant. We get more Grant in Grant's head. Which I will say is the best part of Grant as a character is his own inner dialogue, because he doesn't really cut himself much slack. He's at least, unlike Kadir, he is at least brutally honest with himself at this stage. He probably was not prior to this, but at this stage, he's brutally honest with like, I'm a fuck up.
And the problem is he just continues to mess up.
Yeah, well, he can't.
He at least embraces that he's a complete screw up, unlike Kadir. However, the problem is you just go Grant because he keeps messing up no matter what he does.
Oh yeah, he definitely does. As we're fighting gas people, we're fighting centipede, snake men,
a telepathic millipede death cult.
Yeah, telepathic millipede death cult. You gotta love. I mean, okay, let's just think about that for a second. Like when you're the artist, and Remender hands you a script that says, "Hey, I need you to design." A telepathic millipede death cult.
And go. And if you got any time, a parasitic sentient gas race.
I mean, and don't worry, here soon we're gonna get to like maybe Unruly's favorite, which is Hargloth the Defiler. We'll get to him in a minute.
It's really old home week in this issue.
Yeah. So then we jump back to Kadir, who's gonna fix it. because that's what actually is his strength, is his brain. But he's, of course, sent troops to bring Sarah to him. And, like, when she questions what the heck he's doing, it's like, I can't believe you asked me that. It's Grant's fault. Like, I mean... what did you guys think of this sequence of Kadir here as he's trying to redeem himself?
Classic Kadir. Nothing's wrong. He's perfect. So I kind of don't. I guess. Oh, how far are we? Well, I'll save it. I don't like. I don't like it. I don't like how it ended. So we'll get there later, though. I thought we were closer to it, but we're not. So.
Oh, well, we're pretty close because he sees when he's talking to Sarah, he realizes what Block's about to do, which is abandon this dimension for another. So yeah, that skips ahead a little bit as we see, because we jump back to Grant, and we got, Grant between the millipedes and the gas people, like that. Yeah, everything's hitting the fan out in the streets. Meanwhile, yeah, Block is making his run for it.
About the jump, he's going to use that wrist jumper.
He's going to use the wrist jumper and make the leap. Only, yeah, Kadir decides, well, I can't believe he's going to do it, so let me release something else.
Hey, that you can never have too much garlic.
Well, I know you love Hargloff the Defiler. Well, we'll gorge on your women. We'll build a throne from the spines of your young. We'll set fire on the faces of your mother. I mean,
yeah, like the panel, like where the one bean's like right behind Block, and then like the panel right next to it, you just see like completely gone from the panel with just like a tentacle or arm thing pushed.
Yeah,
like so good. I guess I didn't want to see Block go so soon. Not that I want to see him win, but like he was a good bad guy because he didn't care and he did what he wanted to do. Where I don't, Kadir is an annoying bad guy, like, so like.
But I get where
it.
you're coming from, and this is where, like, again, I felt like it could have been a 6 or 7,
right?
Because you take out Block here, but ultimately, we didn't really meet Block in the truest sense of the words until this volume.
Yeah,
like I don't feel like Block is ultimately that important.
You're right, and ultimately it's not. It's going to come down to Kadir and Grant. Like that's got to be the final, or one of the main final confrontations of the throuple between Grant, Sarah, and Kadir, and that ultimately is the more. I think I'm like, I just would have liked to see that once we got to know, like, we got to know Block in this issue, like you said, and it felt like I want to live with that Block a little bit more because we haven't gotten to know him a lot.
Well, he goes out in I don't even know what the right term for that would be, but he gets implanted with a whole bunch of baby Hargloss, and then of course Kadir's like, okay, now I'm just going to send you back to your cell, and that of course doesn't work. So we get the last page of this volume, or the last couple pages, which is Grant and his brother running from
everyone,
the millipedes, all the best warriors the ghost people have taken over from the multiverse. And then, of course, but he's like, in one dimension, I get this right. Clean this up, make things better. But if history has taught me anything, in most, I don't. And in that moment, we get more Hargloff the Defiler as we close out this volume. So what do you think? What do you think of how this ends? Greg, you said a little bit with your annoyance that Block gets taken out, but what do you think about how we wrap up here, volume 6?
my annoyance of how that he got taken out, but I love how he got taken out. Like
Yeah.
that was like it almost is like if the Wiggles mixed with Alien, like that was the scene there. And it was great. And I love that Kadir's like, oh shoot, I messed up again. Great. Like,
well, I'm sure he's gonna blame it on Grant somehow because
of course.
Grant that his plan to take that thing out and then put it back in the a holding cell had to be Grant's fault. Had to be.
So I dug it. I liked it. I'm curious. I think it's going to make volume 7, 8, 9. Like I'm here for it. I thought this was a really great way to move the story along, and it didn't feel like it was a wasted volume.
Yeah. What about you, Unruly? What did you think?
Dude, I can't wait to see. I still think the witch, when all is said and done, she'll be the last villain standing. I think they're going to defeat the millipedes. They're going to defeat the gas beings. Narlaw is just going to be a footnote, but a damn good one. And I think it's going to be the witch, and we're going to find out how that plays out.
I think she's got some other weird motivation that my guess is she ends up getting out bargained and ends up walking away at some point because she's been played into a corner that she didn't expect. But we'll see how that plays out. It'll be interesting for sure. I'm in for this. Like, I was a little curious the last volume when we made the jump back to, like, we completely changed what I thought the book was going to be, which was going to be just like a trip through the multiverse when they got back and Grant got stranded at home. So I'm really interested to see where this goes from here. Like how these next 3 volumes go. I don't think we're going to get a ton of I think we'll get a little bit of flashback because Remender can't go very long without some sort of flashback. But I don't know that we're going to get what you're fearing, which is a bunch of flashback. But I'm very
listen. I'm going pessimistic, so that way when it doesn't happen, it's even better. But if I go in optimistic, I'll wide-eyed, bushy-tailed like you are, JP, and then it happens, I'm gonna be like, I knew it was happening. I knew it was gonna happen.
At this stage, I just want to see like how Pia changes now, like what she can actually do. Like how much was he wasting what he actually could do? Because I feel like it was a lot in terms of Grant. So it'll be interesting to see just what she's capable of now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We're going to be off for a month or so before we get a chance to come back for volume 7, 8, 9. But yeah, looking forward to finishing it. Still going to wrap this up much faster than we have previously. And then we'll have to, buy that Fear Agent thing and let Unruly finally get his way, and we'll finally read Fear Agent with him. So,
and listen, I have not read it since I reread it right after the first time I read it, but it's been 6, 7, 8 years now, so
nice.
it'll be. I know the main characters, but all the beats will still be new, probably.
Yeah. Well, it is in my wish list for in-stock trades, and the next time I make an order, my plan is to order it. So it is at the top of the stack to be ordered. So, all right. Well, thanks, Bub, for hanging out, and Carlita for hanging out for a little bit, and Kenneth Bird. Appreciate it. And we're going to get out of here and see you guys later.